Welcome everyone to a story of mystery, intrigue, and one detective whose brain is on airplane mode. Tonight, you'll see lies, deception, and betrayal. Well, actually, everyone is telling the truth, but don't tell the detective that. This is the case of the barking truth. This week, I have two guests with me who are avid fans of murder mysteries. Please welcome Dan and Ray. Dan here is a certified expert on detective fiction literature and has followed countless crime investigations over the years, so he definitely is very knowledgeable on the subject.
Thanks for having me here. I've analyzed many killers' patterns, techniques, and behaviors, so this should be an easy case for me to follow. They're all the same, you know. Each case is slightly different, of course, but they all follow the same formula. And everything is always much more complicated than you think.
Sure, Dan. Ray, on the other hand, is a casual reader who has just entered the wonderful world of detection, so take it a little easy on her as she tries to keep up with this mystery.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me too. I'm not too familiar with the patterns and standards of crime and investigation like Dan is, but I just try to figure out the truth with the facts and evidence given to me.
Anyway, let's get to the story. Our victim, Charles Thornberry, was found dead in his study. Mr. Thornberry was a very successful, though very lonely, crime fiction writer. His children and grandchildren never visited him, except for when they needed financial help. Rumor has it they were all waiting for the old man to croak, so they can take their inheritance and split. On the night of his death, the door was locked from the inside, the lights were off, and the dog was barking relentlessly. Though, in fairness, the dog also barked during breakfast, lunch, and when someone said the word chair. The detective and his Watson arrive at the scene of the crime. It is a cozy study lined with books, chairs, and odd little items collected over the years by an eccentric old man. Oh, and one more thing, at the very center of the room, the corpse of the old man himself.
Watson, look at the scene. Study the details. Every object is a clue.
There's a body in the middle of the floor.
Don't focus on that. Think deeper. Look at this book. It's angled 17 degrees to the left.
Does that matter?
Of course it matters. A book never lies. People, always lying. Dogs, bark too much. Books, reliable.
He probably bumped it by accident.
Watson, please don't make bold claims without evidence. And the dog's silence during the crime?
It's literally barking right now.
Exactly. Which proves it stopped barking earlier. A clear sign of guilt.
Dogs are allowed to stop barking.
Not during a murder investigation. I can already tell Watson is going to get in the way of things. Don't they already know that detectives are always right about these kinds of stories?
Right, but it seems like they're pointing out the obvious, no? I'm all for analyzing the minor details in the scenes, but it would make sense to start with what's given, no?
That's how they get you. This is meant to throw the audience off. It's always the most obvious evidence that leads nowhere.
Yeah, but we shouldn't leave it out immediately. It could also be a key piece of information.
You don't have the analytical prowess that me and other passionate detective fiction readers have. Personally, I think they should make us real detectives.
The detective and Watson are in a parlor, sipping tea across the table from their first witness. She's the victim's great Nana who lives in the guest room. No one knows how old she is, but she could very well be older than the house itself. She was suspected to have gone fully mad decades ago. But maybe that's why Mr. Thornberry liked having her around. To hear his incessant ramblings about his children trying to usurp his legacy and fortune.
Tell us what you saw last night.
Well, dear, at 9 p.m., I heard a great boom. Or maybe it was me dropping my spoon. Or maybe I was the spoon.
A master of disguise, a spoon shifter.
She's not a spoon.
How do you know? Did you test her?
Then I saw a fellow in a coat or a robe, or maybe it was a towel. Something with sleeves, I think.
A coat, robe, towel hybrid. Clearly an assassin's uniform.
Or she saw herself in a mirror.
Watson, please save your fantasy theories for bedtime.
Okay, does the detective not seem a bit off to you, Dan? These conclusions the detective is making are a bit irrational.
You're clearly not thinking deep enough into the detective's reasoning. The detective has already connected very small details. I'm on the same page as the detective, but I won't explain it to you since I don't want to ruin your experience.
It's just that last witness seemed not to be all there, you know? Maybe I'm missing something, but the detective is trusting someone that seems like she can't even remember her own birthday. I mean, come on. An assassin who wears a coat, robe, towel hybrid? They both sound clinically insane.
I've heard stranger things. There must be some sort of crazy, convoluted explanation for all this. That's the art and beauty of crime investigation.
You're doing too much.
You're not doing enough.
The next witness is Mr. Thornberry's landscaper, J.R., who spent most of his time in Mr. Thornberry's presence, seeing Mr. Thornberry not for his wealth or notary, but for Mr. Thornberry himself. He was one of the few people that Mr. Thornberry considered a true friend.
Tell us what really happened. I was trimming the bushes when I saw Mr. Thornberry in his study alone, writing at his desk. I went inside for a snack and water when I heard him shouted, "This will show them." Then I heard the loud sound like thud. Sounded like something dropping. Maybe it was the gun. I tried opening the door to check on my friend, but it was locked.
This literally sounds like he accidentally killed himself.
Watson, don't jump to conclusions.
You jumped to assassin in a bathrobe 10 seconds ago.
And a brilliant conclusion it was. Everything I told you is the truth. And that is exactly what concerns me. See? Even the dog disagrees.
No, the dog just barks at everything. Yesterday it barked at a raisin.
This JR sounds like he had a motive. That last line, everything I told you was the truth, that has to be a red herring. Only an idiot would overlook that detail.
JR is probably the last person to have any sort of malicious intent toward Charles. I think JR is his closest friend, and at the very least, he's a much more reliable source of information than Great Nana Thornberry.
Nonsense. She is family, and JR is nothing to Charles other than help. Oriental help, that is.
Excuse me? What's that supposed to mean?
Haven't you heard of Ronald Knox's 10 Commandments of Detective Fiction? Of course you haven't. Well, the fifth rule is no Chinaman must figure in the story. They're too untrustworthy, and everyone would suspect them as a killer anyway.
Wouldn't that make JR innocent then? Also, you're generalizing too much. JR is Filipino, not Chinese.
Whatever. I'm the expert here, and this story isn't playing by the rules I studied.
With a grand flourish, the detective reveals his masterpiece that sums up the entire case. A massive corkboard packed with a chaotic tangle of red strings, a collage of random images from a picture of the dog to a stock photo of raisins, and a storm of post-it notes with only question marks on them. He madly chased every lead, went down every rabbit hole, and likely lost his mind along the way, if he ever had it. Now, he proudly showcased his findings to Watson, the authorities, and the witnesses.
Ladies and gentlemen, the solution is simple, but only to someone with superior intellect, like me. Observe. The killer entered through the chimney, bribed the dog with gluten-free kibble, used microwave thunder to cover the sound of the weapon, left a pen as a misdirection tactic, and escaped via unicycle, meaning the culprit has to have been that truthful landscaper.
That entire sentence was a crime.
Thank you, Watson. I do try to amaze.
What kind of explanation was that? Literally nothing of that made sense. And what's the deal with that dog?
See, dear audience, Ray is an amateur. Allow me, an expert detective, to explain in layman's terms so your tiny brains can understand. The chimney entrance is just the most obvious assassin entrance. Then the dog would had to be bribed, as it would have barked at any sign of an intruder.
I swear the dog just barked all the time.
Allow me to finish. As I was saying, the microwave thunder was created to mask the sounds matching the weather. Finally, the culprit escaped with a unicycle, since anyone with a six-figure salary or higher owns one. Therefore, it must have been JR. The detective is always right.
First of all, that made no sense at all. Secondly, the landscaper was working, meaning the weather was probably not a thunderstorm.
How would you know about the weather?
Anyways, how does that conclusion make any logical sense? It feels like it was based entirely off of intuition and assumptions. Also, that pen probably led to another clue. What if Mr. Thornberry was writing something?
Like what? A letter to his family? They all only see this man for his money, and would obviously not want him off to inherit this money.
You know what? You're the expert. We'll see where this goes.
After some time to fully process the insanity that left the detective's mouth, Watson steps up to offer her own explanation. While everyone is poring over the colossal pile of the intellectual genius that the detective presented, she stands up and gives a simple solution.
Okay, but what if... Oh my gosh! But what if Charles simply killed himself? His family doesn't care for him. The door was locked from the inside. He was alone. He yelled, "This will show them," then dropped the weapon.
Watson, that theory is far too logical. And you know I don't do logical.
I'm aware.
I'm speechless.
Me too.
I mean, how can Watson be so dumb? The detective laid out his complex findings and revelations beautifully for everyone. And she just comes in and gives the easy way out?
It's not just the easy way out if it's the truth. Sometimes the truth is right in front of your eyes, and you're too blind to accept it.
This isn't fair. This is a bad story that doesn't follow the rules. This is supposed to be a classic murder mystery with a genius detective, an idiot sidekick, and tons of twists and turns that I can follow to get to the final conclusion. What happened to standards? What happened to conventions? This is cheap and lazy.
This is life. There are no rules that it follows, and it can be unfair.
Now, rather than simply telling you the ending, let me explain why the entire story you just listened to was a parody of detective fiction conventions. First, in classic mysteries like Knives Out or Silver Blaze, detectives analyze every detail with genius precision. Our detective analyzed every detail poorly. Second, mystery stories assume everyone is lying. Here, everyone told the truth. The detective was simply too paranoid to believe any of them. Third, in real detective fiction, clues in ordinary details matter, like the dog that didn't bark in Silver Blaze. Our dog barked constantly in every scene, making the clue useless. Fourth, witnesses often give important testimonies. Our witnesses gave ridiculous or incredibly clear testimonies, and the detective ignored both. Fifth, in stories like Knives Out, detectives uncover brilliant twists. Our twist was simple. The will written by Mr. Thornberry gave all of his belongings and assets to JR, the landscaper, and nothing was given to the rest of the family. The detail of Mr. Thornberry being closer to his landscaper than his actual family allows for a more reasonable explanation as to why he shouted, "This will show them." Finally, mystery heroes are usually geniuses. Our detective only believes he's a genius. He's a parody of the savant detective, turning intelligence into idiocy. And so, everything you saw, from overanalysis to barking dogs, to ignore truths, that was a playful parody of classic detective conventions. A reminder that sometimes the simplest answer is right in front of you, unless you're this detective. Thank you for joining us for this parody of mystery storytelling. Join us next week for a case involving nightclubs and geese.